So real quick, by the way, so every time I hear this intro or extra and whatever or intro, I'm always emphasizing on the word hosts to make sure it's plural because for the longest time I caught shit from my wife and my daughter like it's hosts, emphasize, not singular, it's plural.
Did you used to say host? Now here's your
Yeah,
host.
yeah, because it feels like when I'm speaking speaking in
Mm,
like hosts, it feels like I have a lisp going on. You know what I mean? I was having a
I
hard time
didn't.
pronouncing the S.
I didn't. It didn't
Whatever.
catch my
It's
attention or anything like that.
30 minutes of my life we'll never get back.
What do you mean?
I'm just kidding. So
The
you were saying, yeah,
conversation with your wife?
yeah. That was like that whole thing in regards to that. Anyway,
Yeah. I don't know where we were gonna begin.
no.
What
So
do we
you
What
what?
do we have in mind today? Wait, hold on. Before we get to the fun stuff,
Right.
the stuff that I did have like on my notes here, just in case we run out of stuff to talk about.
Hmm.
There's this kid on an airline that's fighting with a window seat with
See,
another passenger. Did you see that?
I've seen that a while ago. That's so old.
Oh, is that an old video? And then there was
Yes.
this
Did
swimmer that got stripped off of his win because he
celebrated
celebrated.
too much? Yeah, seen that too. Did you? Do you have it
Yeah.
on video? You want to show it?
Nah, not right now, maybe later. And then e-bikes here, they're trying to do something about it and they're trying to catch people on the road now. Apparently, word didn't get around that e-bikes are not allowed on national roads and then a lot of them got caught.
I saw that, and honestly, that's hearsay. I'm sorry, it's a Filipino habit where deny until you something happens. You know what I mean? Yeah, I
And then of
didn't hear it.
course,
Wala akong narinig.
the stuff that you sent, which is all about like these illegal migrants and stuff, I wanted to get those out of the way too. Well, which one? So do we go with a heavy topic, which is like not
Now,
heavy, but like
th- let's go with the other ones for now because honestly, this illegal immigrant situation here that I wanted to talk about, it's gonna take me a while to talk about it. So maybe we can like talk about it later on in the show or let it flow to the next episode because it's pretty big and it's frustrating. Honestly, I'm tired of it to a point where shit. Maybe I do want Trump back. you know, you know what
did
I'm
you?
saying.
Oh, I can't even ask if you voted for him because you weren't yet qualified to vote. You weren't even
No, now I fit into the category.
now you're gonna be both American citizen and senior citizen soon.
Okay, in all right, man, that just hurts. Come on. If
I'm
I
right
look like
behind
this as
you.
a senior citizen, I'm okay with it.
I'm right behind you. I'm right behind you, bro. The only reason why I shave nowadays is
Right.
because I'm seeing the white hair coming out of my mustache, man. It's not
Holy
even on the
crap.
hair on the side.
Let me tell you something weird. Just last weekend, since you just brought it up, I still haven't taken it off. Okay. I was shaving in the morning and I was like, there's a window right by the sink. And all of a sudden, in my peripheral vision, I'm seeing like one strand of hair that's probably that long.
Uh,
White. White. Okay. And it's just right here. It's
rogue
just
hair.
one strand of white hair just right there. I
I
had to
used to
like
have one
show my
right here.
family.
I used to have one right here by the nipple.
Ah, so because of that, I noticed that. I'm like looking around. Okay, I got some white strands here and there, but I have one
Mm.
more place in my nose right here. One, and I kid you not, one long white hair. What the hell? Anyway,
Let the world know
yeah,
this is the Flip Side podcast where the truth hurts. That's what I got
sucks.
from watching the videos that you sent, by the way, where the truth hurts.
Man, reality sick sucks, dude. Reality kicks in.
So, which one? What do we do? We talk about the fandom first, or the stuff that we wanted to share.
Your
Where do
call.
we
Go
begin?
ahead. Let's
I'd
talk with
go.
the fandom first.
Okay, yeah, let's go with that because that's so. So I was so last episode. I
Mhm.
don't remember how we got into it, but I guess I asked you on or off the air. online or offline, I was asking you about like your favorite podcasts and like share with me some of the stuff that that you were watching before.
Right.
So I finally got around to checking out that list, by the way, which is practically the same story as me not being able to take the iMac to the shop yet because it's like one day just rolls to the next day and it's like, oh, it's Wednesday already, and oh, it's Sunday already. It's podcast day. And,
Okay.
I give like a like an update.
Right.
Seriously, if we didn't have a podcast these days, I wouldn't even know what day of the week it is.
You know that's a bad thing, right? Because that's basically
Isn't it?
showing that you're doing the same thing over and over and over.
It's very bad. It's very bad. So I just wanted to put the cards out on the table. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Look. Before I was trying to do everything digitally because I didn't want to
Right.
waste paper, and then you were encouraging me to do physical notebooks.
Yeah.
Look what I came up with.
Wow, look at
Look
that.
what you know why I like yellow pad all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And thanks to Tin for sponsoring the yellow pad. By the way, um,
Sponsored, never sponsored.
I like the fact that I could just like roll it up,
Right.
put it
Oh
onto
my
my
God.
back pocket,
I used
and
to do
have like
that.
roll it up, put it on my back pocket, take a walk with a dog or whatever. And it's not like bulky and heavy like these, notebooks that like I only take what I need with me because the
Right.
notebooks it's like if I lose one page, I'll lose.
You lose all of
If I
it.
lose, I mean, if I lose the notebook, I lose all of it. This one, if I lose one or two pages, I'll only lose one or two pages and not the whole
Right.
notepad.
Okay. So
But
going back to what you wanted to talk about the podcast or radio shows and whatnot.
so I finally looked at the videos that you sent me, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is something that Jason and I actually have like deeply, deeply in common." I mean, yes, we both grew up like fresh off the boat in high school, and then we
Speak for
were,
yourself, man. No, I'm just kidding.
and then we had the whole '90s thing to look back to.
Right. Right.
But there was a time I remember thinking to myself that, gosh, this thing that I'm so into, like most people are into, let's say basketball, especially here in the Philippines, whatever sport you might be into there in the US. Oh, by the way, speaking of which, did you hear about the KC Kansas City parade shooting again? There's like
Yeah.
another
Yeah.
anyway, so that was another thing. I digress. Um what was I saying? So I just remember thinking, like, looking at the old videos that you were saying, which like looked like they were shot on tape, which
Mm.
I also have, by the way. And I didn't want to brag or anything like that, but I could share some with you that I've done before. But
Right.
anyway, just remember thinking, gosh, I remember feeling sort of weird that I was sort of the only one, which I felt like only in the Philippines that was so like into like which is probably not true. Like really like radio DJs and podcasts and
Right.
I didn't have any friends that were really into stuff like that. So
Hmm.
it goes all the way as far back as like back when we were in Daly City,
Yeah.
uh San Francisco, 106 KMEL. They were like, "Oh, we're going to be at this
Exactly.
mall or whatever."
Right.
And then I don't remember like going to that mall specifically or that parking lot specifically. But I think somewhere in the back of my mind, I was like, if we do come around to it, maybe I'll go check it out. And then what do you know? There was this 106 KMEL van. And then I think Chewy Gomez came out and then did his broadcast and stuff. And I
Right.
was just like a stalker, like across the street watching what was going on. There was no big event or anything like that. I don't remember what he was doing. He was giving away stuff. But I just remember feeling so enamored by, the whole setup, the the broadcasting live, that kind of thing, which I don't actually feel the same way when I'm looking at someone doing that for TV. There's something
Right.
about radio that really got me, sort of got me started. And I wanted to ask you about that. How did you become such a radio or podcast fan, and what basically tickled your fancy when it came to doing radio versus
I,
TV or anything else that you or sports that you might be following?
I've always been a fan of talk show radio. I don't know why. Okay. Ever since, so it got started for me back in the 90s as well, actually, with Howard Stern.
Mm,
Okay. Howard Stern was just a staple of talk radio. Basically, we all know he's the Godfather, the OG, and all that stuff. But I didn't really get into it until maybe in the early 2000s when I discovered the Michael Mayer show.
But wait. Howard Stern wasn't even in San Francisco. How did you get find
I
out
just
about
I
him? He
just
was
found
in
him on
New.
radio. I literally just found him on radio. That's it.
Oh, because they broadcast all over the country,
Correct. Yeah.
nationwide.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Which channel were you listening to?
I don't
Which
remember, to be honest with you. With Howard
station?
Stern, it's been so long. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But
Well, why do you think you were a fan of talk radio?
I don't
What got you
know.
started?
It was just so it's so relatable, you know. It was such a real thing. Like two of the biggest influences on talk radio or in radio and podcasting that I have, like I've said millions of times, is the Michael
Mm.
Mayer show and the Big O and Duke show. Okay, Big O and Dukes. I believe
Yeah,
I've
but
shared
why?
both of them to you. Why? It just felt real to me. It felt like
Mm.
regular dudes hanging around having a conversation. That's it.
You know what it feels like to me, just looking back. I remember there was a time when I was a kid, like back in the province in
Right.
Laguna. I saw some my uncle or my lolo was building like a little shed or some kind of like satellite garage right beside the house. So
Mm.
he had a bunch of carpenters, and that's kind of how I feel like when I see and hear radio. It's like a bunch
Right.
of carpenters doing their work, like as in like holding the hammer and hammering a nail or cutting wood. You know what I mean? It's like a,
Yeah.
what do you call that? A blue collar job,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
diba? Like
Uh.
there's something so blue collared about it. There's something so like you want to build something, you get your hands dirty and you put two and two together. But there was something about like seeing the actual work happen. And for
Uh.
some reason that's not how I feel about that's well because maybe because it's live, you
Yeah.
think?
I think that could be it. It's because of the fact that it's live and it's happening right there and then. You know, where, like you said, in the middle of your work day or whatever it is that you're doing, you're listening to something that's simultaneously happening. And back then, it's even harder because it's not like today where you can stream things live. You know, literally before it's just a radio, like you said, right? It's just sitting there
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
while you're working, you're listening to it and just relating to it. It kind of helps you make your day go faster and make it more a little bit more enjoyable. Actually, that's what it was for me. You know, because of my job at that time, I'm allowed to have a radio on. In the background, I would have the Michael Mayer show and then the Bigo and Duke show. That pretty much ran for 4, 5, 6 hours straight because I think it was 6 hours, I think, because it was like a
Where were
3 hour
you?
show for each one.
What was your job at that time?
I was doing some admin work basically,
In an office,
Yeah, for a hotel, back then.
like walking around with a headset, like
Correct.
a security guard.
Those old. No, 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 no. I had a Walkman, and then
Mm.
I had headphones that would just go into my ear. That was it.
That's what I feel like the security guards here are walking around. They have their walkie-talkies, so they're
Yeah.
talking to other guards, right? Security office, admin, whatever.
Right.
But they got a headset on, and I bet you they're listening to AM radio or a podcast or something.
Mm.
It's not like work
It's
related.
Dude, it has nothing to do with work related or even music sometimes for a lot of people. It's like when I go to the gym, I'm not listening to music most of the time. It depends on my mood. Sometimes I'm listening to music. Most of the time, honestly, I got my podcast on the background, listening to it. That's it. It just makes it easier.
I remember doing assignments back in the sixth grade before we moved to the U.S. and being so annoyed at the radio show because I was listening to like a countdown,
Right.
like today's top 10 or today's top 20 or something like that. And I would be like, I guess, calling in or voting in or whatever. And then when I finally had the chance to be like on the radio, I kind of found it weird that people would actually what's the word that would actually follow. And
What do you
it
mean?
was so weird to be on the other end of the event or the spectrum of
Right.
reality. Yeah, just going back to it, it was just parang
What was the influence for you? which one? Like I've told you, my influence was Mike and the Michael Mayer show and the Big O and Duke show. What about for you? What was the influence?
Hold on. Michael Mara and the Big Dukes that you're saying, when did that happen? Was that late 90s or early
Yeah, about
2000s?
early 2000s. Yeah. Again, they were
Oh,
these. They were podcasts did not exist at that time. Basically, it was radio show. It was a talk radio.
uh.
Michael Mayer's show from like 11 to 3, and then Big O and Duke's show from like 3 to 7 or 3 to 6. I don't know.
Back in
Can't
the
remember.
early 90s, yeah, so I was already a radio fan even before when I was still here in the Philippines. I was
Right.
listening to a lot of music and it was pop. When I moved to when when I moved there, I had to be loyal to like hip hop 106 KMEL.
Right.
But like for some reason I found myself listening to like a long, and this is trying to answer your question about what got me started.
Right.
There was this like live 105, like some kind of show about either it was like sex education on the radio or relationships or whatever. It just got me hooked for some reason.
Hmm.
And I think that's what it was. Like they had this like live 105, like a counselor or something like that on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
And then they also had like some street knowledge thing, something about gangs and talking about Tupac versus Biggie, that kind of like basically trying to address the whole gang violence on the radio, which was also on 106. So yeah, I guess it was just I just found it interesting that they found it important enough to stop the music and talk.
Mm.
And I was like, what?
What?
Why? What's more important than the music?
Right.
And then I just slowly, I guess, I got into it, uh, listening to like you know them talking about like what it's like, what can you do with it in the community, where can you meet up if you want to feed people, that kind of thing.
Right.
I think that's what got me started, and eventually it grew into the Howard Stern kind of thing also. But I actually only found out about Howard Stern in the late, and I mean early 2000s because of the internet.
Ah.
I think. Yeah, I don't think I even found out about Howard Stern when I was listening to
Right.
radio, as in radio.
Yeah. It was the inception of things just got to me when started. Like I said, starting in talk radio, and then as time went on, obviously ventured on to podcast. And that and my continued support for these guys just followed through all the way to the podcast world, and then all of a sudden into the video podcast, which is where we are now. And it's been the same thing, honestly. I mean, it's quite impressive to watching these people that influenced me into this show, into doing this show, and then watching them grow as well as time went on.
Yo,
And it's
hold on.
amazing how they adapted to things. What's that?
Hold on. I'm getting a call from Robert.
Yeah, send
Robert,
him a link.
hold on. Do you mind if I answer? We're live on the podcast right now. Don't say anything crazy.
Crazy. Why? What
We're live
crazy?
on the podcast right now. You're on speakerphone. Anything you want to say?
Hi. Hello.
Are you on the road? Are we going to be able to get you on the show in a bit, or you're canceling
Yes,
out?
I'm here. I'm here. That's why I'm letting you know already. Send me the link.
Oh, send you the link. Okay.
Okay.
I'll get I'll
Uh,
get I'll get to it. Hang on. Thanks for reminding me.
you're welcome. Yeah, I'm just here.
Okay,
Okay.
hang on a second.
Cool.
Cool. Hold on. Awesome. Okay, so I guess that
Nice,
means it's going to be on. Which
nice,
it's funny
nice.
because I totally forgot to send him
Oh,
the link. Uh, so that's good. At least we're wrapping up this
right,
thing, which where I totally lost my train of thought. I think Yun, I think that's really just what I wanted to share. Like I feel like watching these guys on the radio and even doing it ourselves. Oh, and that's why no wonder when we were first starting back, early last year, and then you got yourself a microphone and headsets,
right.
and I was like, this guy's really getting into it. I was kind of feeling
Man,
you out. I wasn't even really sure how like dedicated you would be about
right.
doing this podcast. and then like seeing you getting the mic, because I already had the microphone and everything, right?
Right.
So for anybody that's kind of wondering why I felt so, you know, because you were just slowly gathering all the gear, and then I already had it, and I was like, let's see. And then you got one microphone, and then you decided to change that microphone, and then you had the interface, and then now you're changing the interface. You know, it's like, this
Man,
guy's really getting into it, like really investing into it, huh?
you have to, man. I mean, I've seen these people that influenced me through time adapt to change and everything. And I figured, you know what? If I'm going to do this, might as well go all in.
Okay, Roberto just messaged that he's getting ready. I'm also trying to figure out how to. Oh, there, invite. Okay, I'll send
Invite
him
at the
the link
bottom.
in a second.
Can I share real quick? I want to share real quick. This is like the start of like the Big O and Duke show, and whatnot. And I wanted to show you like the type of show or podcast that I pretty much listened to before, and it was relatable for me. If I can just hold on, give me 1 second.
Fat is out.
Let's count him down.
I don't want to see this. Oh! Did he drop the fat?
You gotta get all
Yeah.
that, bro. You gotta get all
This was basically the talk show that actually have live events going on back then. This was the food stock. Basically, they gathered all these food trucks into this one location, and then people would come in and support and yada yada yada, and they do a show live broadcast, and it was kind of cool,
And this is not a podcast yet. This is a radio show.
Correct. This
Like
is a radio show.
Terrestrial radio, legacy radio.
Correct.
How the kids used to listen to
Yeah.
things happening. We actually had to pick up the
You gotta
radio,
get all
look for it on the dial.
Right.
dial the-
Right.
Okay.
that.
Yeah, you
Oh,
have
that's
to lick the
gross.
top.
That is gross. That cooler lid is not.
It was just something that I thought was like a good idea of the kind of podcast or radio talk radio that I listened to before. It was relatable. The Michael Marin show was more of the serious, more well mannered type of show where it's regular Joes having a conversation. The Big O and Duke show was a group of guys literally chilling out, hanging out, and doing fun things together. So it was a balance for me. That's why it worked out.
You didn't feel like that you were losing one's loyalty from the other because you were switching from. Did the schedule like work out? Which, by the way, you had to listen on a schedule. It's not like whenever you just feel like it.
No, it schedule worked out because I would start listening to it at work, and then all the way to the point where I'm driving home that I'm still listening to the Big O and Dukes. You know what I mean? That was great. That was great. That's how my love of the podcasting and radio basically where it started.
And I think maybe it just works. I don't know if you feel the same way, but for me, it's like it just works out for like the way my taste is, and as far as whether it's books or maybe TV shows or even radio shows, it's or even movies or the kind of stuff that I watch on YouTube. It's like I just like this sort of raw, blue collared kind of feel to it. I think is what I kind of like about it.
We don't really have that feeling anymore nowadays, though, to be honest with you. Because I know exactly what you're saying and how you're feeling about that back then. It's just not there anymore. It's different now. It's a different feeling.
Does everything feel so polished? Is that what you mean?
Not so much as polished, but more like convenient. Do you know what I mean? Having that applies to any kind of things to talk about now or to do nowadays, where the lack of urgency because everything is so readily available.